what I would love to do is talk about the tools that we can consider as, any healthcare provider, any field, somebody that has a vision that is not going to work out in the conventional system. What are the tools that we can put in place to help them to make that gap between, where I ended up, which was ultimately having a mission and creating a successful practice and doing all the things that I wanted to do, but it took me so long to get there.
And there's a predictable path, and that's what's fantastic about it, because here is the big challenge. And I'm not sure what the triggering event was for you, if there was one, but for so many of the practitioners I've worked with, they either got sick, a family member got sick, a close friend got sick, and the traditional system couldn't help them.
Right.
And so they started looking outside. And, once you do that, you can't unsee it, right? And you start to see the power that happens when you incorporate functional medicine, integrative medicine, whatever you want to call it. I call it a lot of the stuff we learned in nutrition and exercise. I'm like,
Right.
you guys are getting it now. Great. But, all this amazing stuff with the gut and with hormones that is so transformative. And then they try to bring it back into a system that wasn't built for it.
Mm-hmm.
A 7-minute system can't handle transformation. It's a transactional system. And then they go broke trying to do it. They burn out, they go broke, and that is what I want to stop.
Yeah.
Because it's so clear. Like, you look at the statistics in the United States with our healthcare, which we shouldn't call healthcare, we should call it disease care, and just even how doctors are trained in learning how to treat disease. And we've obviously got to make a shift, but the shift isn't going to start with the system. It's going to start with the people who are leaving the system. So we must give them a way to be able to save their own life while they're saving others, right?
Mm-hmm. Where does someone start? Let's say they are, I don't know, let's just pick any field, right? Let's just take an internal medicine doctor who says, oh my gosh, I think that we have to be talking about whatever, obesity in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I see that there's got to be a way to integrate X, Y, and Z. I'm passionate about this thing, but I'm in a traditional role. Maybe they're taking call at a hospital, whatever. How does that person start to take that next step?
So there is a health business ascension model that we have created that gives you this predictable path. And the very first part of that, again, starts with that vision and that idea. And it starts with you then building a personal brand. Now, it's interesting in the world of healthcare, like we have a trust recession going on everywhere, but in biggest place is in healthcare
Mm-hmm.
because of what went on with the pandemic. And now we've got AI. And apparently Forbes, they did the study where they showed that 82% of people were going to social media to make decisions if they were going to hire someone or not, which I know sends fear down every health provider's spine, right? They're like, oh no. But what we're talking about with building a personal brand is not going and dancing on TikTok. It is building yourself as a trusted authority so that when people want the transformation, they'll come to you because you've got to position yourself differently than the transactional business that you've been in. And so it starts with personal brand. Then we teach you to build a specific program with results in advance, offering the transformation to bring people through. And then it just builds from there. But the very first beginning of it is, who are you? And it's way past who are you? What's your niche? Who are the people you want to serve?
I get a lot of negative feedback.
Good.
From other providers,
Mm-hmm.
from consumers
Uh-huh.
who say, hey, I like what you're saying, but you're just you're a talking head on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. How do I know that you're real when there are so many fakes out there? How do we kind of weave around that?
Okay, well, I'm going to use you as an example, and we'll walk through how to create a trusted authority brand. And the reason I said good when you said you got some negative comments is if you are building a trusted authority brand and no one is against you, then you really don't have anyone for you either. So a big part of it that providers have to get used to is that there will be people who do not like you and say mean things. And if they are not doing that, it's because you're not saying things that anyone cares about. And that's the reality. So when you look at building a trusted brand, the bottom of the triangle, and we call it the trusted authority triangle, at the bottom of the triangle is the word trust. Now, when I'm speaking, what does trust mean to you, to a physician? Normally we get, okay, well, you build trust because of your credentials or because of your testimonials, and that actually isn't how you build trust.
Right.
Do you have any idea how you build trust?
Well, especially credentials today. I mean, I think that there is, like you said, there is mistrust. We have lost the trust as providers, as MDs, DOs. We have lost the trust of the general public because of what happened over the last 5 years, but also before that. It was
Yeah.
already on its way.
Well, it was actually you never actually had the trust to begin with,
Mm.
and that's the difference. I think the last time people really had trust in their doctors is when they had doctors going around in little communities going to the
Yeah.
houses.
Right.
The reason doctors have lost trust is because they are not creating trust and they're not taught to. And there's a very specific way you create trust, and it is the 180-degree opposite of what you're taught to do in school. The way you create trust is through your humanity, your relatability, your vulnerability.